You want to know how empires collapse? Not with an explosion, not with a scream, but with a silent refusal. As if the world simply turned away. Europe has turned away from Tesla. And this shift was not merely a market reaction. It became a civilizational verdict. When a respected brand that once embodied an era of technological optimism becomes the object of mass public distrust, this is no longer a crisis. It's a historical turning point. This isn't a fallen image. It's a cultural earthquake, with its epicenter being the very image of the future Tesla once symbolized. It's a collapse of trust that cannot be stopped with standard corporate tactics, not with discounts, not with advertising, not with new product lines. 94% of Germans. This isn't just a number from a statistical report, it's sociology incarnate. When nearly an entire society says no, it's not an opinion. It's a verdict. A rejection delivered with surgical precision, with the characteristic rationality of Germany, not because it's loud, but because it's justified. It's not just a figure, it's a sign that beyond the number lies a deep emotional rupture between the brand and the people. And the name they rejected has become too heavy to carry. A name that once stood for innovation, prestige, and an exemplary lifestyle is now associated with threat, conflict, and a disregard for human values, as if it suddenly changed meaning in the public consciousness. Elon Musk, recently still a hero of the global industry, in the year 2025 became a symbol of lost trust. And this loss runs much deeper than mere disappointment in a single individual. It is a rejection of a model of leadership where charisma replaces responsibility and memes substitute for strategy, where publicity becomes a tool of pressure rather than dialogue. From Germany to Norway, from universities to corporate boardrooms, the signal is the same: we are no longer with you. His image is no longer that of a visionary engineer, but of a digital provocateur who violates norms of decency and corporate ethics. And the more he insists on his role as a prophet, the more it seems his words are not wisdom, but self-destructive egocentrism. Electric vehicles as a symbol? Absolutely. In Europe, they are not just a technology, they are a promise. A promise of a less destructive world, of more conscious choices, of a sustainable future. They are part of a social identity. The image of the electric vehicle here is not merely futuristic, it is a moral platform. And now that identity is tied not to progress, but to toxic publicity, to arrogance, and to open disdain for basic social norms. A European doesn't just buy a car, they buy a value-based choice, a piece of their worldview. In this context, Tesla is no longer an ally. It has lost the right to be part of the European narrative because it has become the embodiment of American corporate cynicism wrapped in a high-tech shell. This is not a drop in demand. This is a collapse of meaning. Because the meaning of a brand is created in minds and hearts, not in factory workshops. And when those minds and hearts turn away, no software update can save you. Losing resonance with society is the most dangerous form of business crisis. No new model, no aggressive marketing, not even a price cut will help. Because this is not a logistics issue, it's an issue of identity. People stop feeling connected to a brand that distances itself from them. Not technically, but mentally, spiritually. Germany was the first to turn away. But that doesn't mean it will be the last. Signals are coming from France, from Belgium, from the Netherlands. But most importantly, from the north. Sweden, Denmark, Norway are not just protesting. They are systematically and methodically rejecting a brand that no longer respects what they hold sacred: labor, solidarity, respect. This is not an emotional outburst. It is a rational and conscious movement of entire societies, built on conviction, not emotion. Such movements don't reverse. They become the norm. And if a company is once perceived as alien, regaining trust becomes nearly impossible. Workers refuse to service the equipment. Unions block logistics. Major pension funds pull out to avoid complicity. Universities exclude Tesla from educational programs. Consumers vote not with their wallets, but with their dignity. Against. This is not just a commercial boycott, it is a moral one. This is a challenge that cannot be countered by profit reports. It is a structural breakdown in the relationship between a brand and society, one that cannot be patched up with good intentions. We no longer believe. That's the real verdict, because trust cannot be bought. It must be earned, built, maintained, and when it's lost, everything else is secondary. Without trust, even the best technology becomes dead capital. Because even if you produce the best product on the planet, it has no value if society deems you morally unacceptable. The contrast is clear. Volkswagen, Renault, Peugeot, They don't just manufacture electric vehicles. They are embedded in context. They respect unions. They follow environmental directives. They speak the language of their consumer. They don't just sell cars. They engage society in a dialogue with respect and openness. And Tesla? It mocks, confronts, ignores. It is no longer a dialogue, but a monologue. And in that lies its downfall. Because monologues no longer work. People demand dialogue. They demand respect. And if you don't know how to listen, they won't forgive what you say. Why is this critical? Because it's not about profit. It's about values. And when Europe votes for transparency, for dialogue, for a balance of interests, it rejects monologues, ego, and self-sufficiency. Values are the infrastructure of trust. Without it, no innovation will receive approval. Without it, every new product, no matter how advanced, will be perceived as a distraction. Because if the moral conflict isn't resolved, no marketing campaign can fix the rest. In the year 2025, Tesla lost over 45% of its market shares in the European electric vehicle sector. And this isn't just a strategic failure. It is social isolation. It's when a company becomes unacceptable, not because of its product, but because of its behavior. This is a stigma that will be very difficult to erase. A stigma that may, in fact, become chronic. Because while some companies engage in dialogue, others retreat into defensive silence. And the market sees this. This is not a crisis of the Model S. It is a crisis of the very meaning of S. Because when your product is associated with disdain, memes, and political scandals, you're no longer selling progress. You're selling discomfort. And even loyal fans begin to ask themselves, is it worth remaining part of this story? Or is it better to seek a new, more worthy alternative? Moral losses are more destructive than financial ones. Because investments can be recovered, respect cannot. When pension funds exit Tesla out of shame, not out of losses, this is no longer about economics. This is a cultural conflict. It is proof that moral principles matter more than short-term gains. It is a manifesto that companies can no longer live outside societal expectations. This is a reality that cannot be ignored. Elon Musk is not just the cause. He is the symptom. A symptom of the rupture between the future and the present. Between vision and execution. Because today, a leader who doesn't listen becomes a leader no one listens to. His digital hyperactivity is no longer perceived as charisma. It is seen as noise, as irritation, as a risk. This is no longer the image of an innovator. It's the image of someone who has lost connection with the context, and who doesn't want it back. Europe is growing. Tesla is stalling, because technology without context is just empty metal, and society demands meaning. And when sarcasm and threats replace meaning, the market responds with silence. Silence louder than any slogan. This silence is not a refusal to buy. It is a refusal of meaning. It is the silence that says, you are no longer relevant to us. And here lies the paradox. Tesla, once promising freedom, now demands justification. The car of the future has become the symbol of past mistakes. It is no longer an invitation to a better tomorrow. It is a warning of what tomorrow may fail to become. It is a lesson that a brand's strength depends not on design or range per charge, but on how well it integrates into the society it wants to sell to. The main question isn't whether they can come back. It's this: will anyone want to believe in them again? And that is the most troubling uncertainty, the one no analyst or quarterly report can measure. Share your thoughts. Is it still possible to regain the trust that was so carelessly squandered?